Okay, so recently, the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, arrested a New Mexico border militia leader named Larry Mitchell Hopkins of the United Constitutional Patriots, which, of course, is an armed border patrol kind of militia, voluntary group of individuals that tried to do the work of border patrol. And recently, they have caught up to 300 illegal immigrants and handed them over to Border Patrol, which has led up to, of course, this arrest. Now, there's, of course, a lot of disinformation, a lot of speculation, and it's creating an issue that, of course, is dividing the nation as people are calling him and his group a white nationalist terrorist group. They're accusing him of kidnapping, of terrorism, but other people, of course, are seeing him as a hero and saying what he's doing is great and doing what Border Patrol needs to be doing that they're not. And of course, this is dividing a lot of people. But when we look at the charges here, Jason, he's not being charged for kidnapping, terrorism, or any of the charges that he's being levied against. He's being charged for a gun charge.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. You read the headlines and you think that they got him. They got he's got a bunch of human beings. He's treating them bad. He's torturing them. No, they accused him. The FBI arrested him, by the way, for a illegal possession of a weapon. You know how minor that charge is? Listen, if you watch this video, and Luke and I were watching this yesterday, we weren't sure whether we were actually going to cover it, but then this arrest was made. I mean, there are hundreds of people lined on the streets with armed men with machine guns that have rounded these people up. And here's the thing. When you look at this Daily Beast article, obviously they frame, and by the way, I want to say this. I have no idea what the beliefs of this group are. I have not seen the literature they've put out or the radios to show, other than I know they're on the border stopping people from crossing it. Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, what they do officially is they look for undocumented migrants on the border, and then they either detain them with their guns or call in Border Patrol. Now, the Border Patrol has said it does not condone what the militia is doing, but they do get support from private individuals and, of course, donations. The New Mexico Attorney General came out and described the leader who was arrested for this gun charge as a, quote, dangerous felon who should not have weapons around children and families. And the video is stunning, Jason. We saw the video yesterday. It's hundreds of individuals, some of them women and children, and of course these militia guys detaining them or citizens arresting them. But we do have to understand here, predominantly when it comes to people crossing the border, it is mainly males. But you were saying something else, Jason. Keep going.
Yeah, if you look at this, guys, again, you're watching the video right here. They've got all these people. No one here is charged. And if you also look in that Daily Beast article, there's no doubt that this group has not worked with, well, I wouldn't say worked with, but called in Border Patrol, not once, not 10 times, not dozens of times, hundreds and hundreds of times. And what you're looking at is hundreds and hundreds of people being detained. The other thing that is stunning to me, Luke,
so easy to get across,
is that a lot of people want to ignore these open 2016 numbers. Now, these are small passages on the border. Take a look
2016,
at this.
Jason?
Yes, this is 2016 numbers. And this is NPR. It doesn't get more liberal than that. Okay, look at this small part of Texas. Now, Texas is huge, but you have almost over 500,000 crossings right there by the Rio Grande. When you look at this and these areas, of course, you are going to have armed militia groups come up. And I would say this. When you look at these guys, it almost seems negligent compared to what you see in cartel land. One of the most stunning documentaries I've seen in the last 10 years. I recommend everybody check that out so you can see not only what's happening on this side of the border, which is alarming, but on the other side of the border as well. Nobody's saying that I'm not sympathetic to the people trying to come into this country and have a better life, but I'm also sympathetic to those that live in these border communities that have to deal with, number one, the influx of this, the effect on the economy, the effect with drugs in the community. There is no doubt a lot of these people are trafficking in those things. I'm sorry, that's reality. That's not everybody. But, you know, people doing this and working with Border Patrol because Border Patrol can't seem to do it, I mean, that's the likely outcome, Luke.
Yeah, again, this situation is not black and white. There's a lot of gray, there's a lot of nuance, and there are human traffickers. There are abusers that do put people in precarious situations, especially people from the lower Latin American countries like Ecuador and Honduras, El Salvador, that are brought up through Mexico, that are trafficked, that are extorted, that sometimes they're robbed, sometimes they're raped. And the human traffickers are the ones that these militias say that they are armed against, because there have been shootouts, there have been conflicts. It was even found out through a conflict on the border between one of these kind of Mexican cartels and U.S. Officials, where it was found out that, of course, Barack Obama was running guns to Mexico knowingly, with the famous case of Eric Holder, the big scandal that was unfolded. You're saying something, Jason?
No, I'm sorry, I just coughed.
Yeah, no worries. So again, this issue is nuance, and there are a lot of important perspectives to understand here that I was just mentioning. But this guy also, we have to understand. Let's get the full picture here, because this guy who was arrested previously before in Oregon in 2016 on suspicion of impersonating a police officer and being a felon in possession of a firearm, which is most likely the case in this situation as well. That was most likely documented by them, and this is why, of course, the FBI went after him. And of course, law enforcement is saying, leave law enforcement to us. But with these numbers that you just showed us, this was what, 2016? These numbers, according to many officials, are increasing in a vast amount, and they're calling a critical emergency of grand proportions that's happening on the border that U.S. Border Patrol has not seen before. That's the reports that we're getting, a larger, huge influx of more people trying to cross illegally into this country. Now, are they asylum seekers? That also has to be put into question here, because if you're looking for asylum, you're not going to be going under the cover of night through the border illegally. If you're going for asylum, you're going to go to an office and apply for asylum, and then have your day in court and have your stuff heard. But at the same time, they're not doing that. But on the other side, we have to understand that a lot of those resources to process asylum seekers have also, according to many people, have been restricted and are not adequate to deal with the influx of people on the border. So that's the big conundrum here. That's the big gray zone. Where do you guys stand? Obviously, there's going to be people who are going to be seeing these guys as villains. There's going to be people who are seeing these guys as heroes. Where do you guys see them? I'm very curious about what you guys think about this particular debate, but obviously it is sparking a very large national one, and it's going to be one that's not going to end here, because even though they took down this militia leader, there's most likely going to be someone else that are going to step. There's most likely going to be other militias, and this likely is only going to escalate with more documented cases of what we saw with hundreds of people being detained at the border. What do you guys think? I'm very curious about your comments. Other than that, I have nothing else to say. Anything else you want to say, Jason, and do you want to close it off here?
No, sir. We are doing 4 videos a day across 2 channels. Please subscribe to both Pulse Change and We Are Change. Ring that bell and make sure when you hit those notifications that you get those notifications, because there's all sorts of new settings out there. Share this stuff on social media. Be a part of the conversation, guys. We really are interested in your thoughts on this one. I know it's not a black and white issue, but most importantly, get out there and be the change you want to see in the world.